everybody, welcome back to Creative Chat Cafe, Wednesday, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I am Zef Zan, your host for the next 30 minutes, I think. I think we're going to have a lot of fun today because we've got a great topic. So for all of you folks out there who are pretty brand new to the show, and you're probably wondering, what in the world is Creative Chat Cafe? Well, we're the talk show hangout that brings you guidance, inspiration, and results for all your marketing, business development, and leadership needs. And today we have a great topic on marketing. So I can't wait to get started because I have two great co-hosts and guests with me, and they're awesome at what they do. And before we even get started, let's get them to quickly introduce themselves, and then we can start rolling. Hey, Bill, welcome back to the show, and Sondra, welcome to the show again.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Steph. Thank you. Awesome.
Bill, why don't you get started and give a little bit of an introduction? I know our folks have seen you for a little bit out there on our shows, but it's been a while since you've been back. So let's get you introduced, and we can get Sondra next.
Sure. I'm Bill DeRosa. I'm the president of Talking Finger, a social media marketing agency, and we basically get companies on the social networks, the right social networks, for hitting their target audiences. We do content, analytics, pretty much anything that has to do with social media marketing and marketing integration with the traditional stuff. So, in a nutshell, that's me. And I'm
Thank you, Bill. Woohoo! Glad to have you back. Woohoo! Sondra, your turn.
Hi, yeah, my name is Sondra Firestein, and I have a company called Pursuit Concierge and Lifestyle Management. And what we do, it's really simple. We give people their time back. So the idea is that everyone has a laundry list of stuff that has to get done, whether it's running errands, making phone calls. Sorry, my cat is passing through.
It's so awesome.
She wants to be a star too.
Yeah, she wants to be on camera. But we really just work to give people their time back by taking away things from their to-do list so that they can focus on what it is that matters most. Maybe it's hanging out with their cat. Maybe it's sleeping more.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
I love that. Thanks, Sondra. And I love the fact that, we're going to have a great conversation today. And for some of you folks who probably are wondering, what are we talking about today and the topic, and what do we do in our show? So there are three things that we do on our show. First of all, we're going to actually show you the hashtag of the show. Here we go. So hashtag Creative Chat Cafe. So if you're on Twitter or you're searching on us in Google search engine, you will probably get a list of results for your shows, blog content, and just Google Creative Chat. Hashtag Creative Chat Cafe, and this is the website where you watch it. entrepreneurs@soar.com, and today we're talking about leveraging LinkedIn to grow your business. And throughout the show, we will also give you tips and inspirational resources to help you get started. So Bill, let me just jump into this conversation because I know we have a lot of content ready for us today, and we want to I think there's a lot of things to talk about because this LinkedIn thing is pretty huge for individuals and business people who are looking to build some sort of a platform, a visual platform to connect and build relationships. Right. So how can we all use LinkedIn to grow a business, Bill? I mean, in your professional opinion, should we use LinkedIn as, resumes, or should we showcase our specific expertise? Do you have any recommendations or thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, you're really doing both. Having a resume doesn't necessarily mean you're looking for a job. It's really just the description of your expertise or your authority. So absolutely, everybody should have a continually update a LinkedIn profile, which is really important to continually update it to reflect their experience, their authority, their expertise. So yeah, absolutely, and using it to grow a business is a matter of using it consistently. Joining and engaging in groups where your customer or prospects may be, make connections with people that you meet in the outside world, connect with them on LinkedIn, things like that. So yeah, I mean, everybody should have a properly built and optimized LinkedIn profile, and it does generate business.
One of the things I think often, in fact, me included, I often ask myself, because I hear so many things out there from one guru to the others, from one LinkedIn expert to the other, but I think a lot of times there is a group of gurus or experts in LinkedIn that do not recommend us to have our, how we present our LinkedIn profile as a resume. They suggested that we hone down a little bit more of what we can do for our clients or customers, the value that we bring. Which one do you think? I know there should be some sort of balance, but if I were to concentrate on the top half, I think especially the summary part
the summary
of
section.
LinkedIn, what would you recommend to go in that summary? Because that summary part, everybody has a challenge, and sometimes I think people put too much information in that area, which are pretty much irrelevant, and then you get lost in the entire page. What are your recommendations?
It's still a social network, so I think there needs to be a good mixture of your professionalism or the description of who you are and what you've done, but you should also put a little bit of your own personality into it. It's okay to let loose a little bit. I mean, it's the most professional social network, so you can't talk about a cat going by on your desk, for example, or something like that. But, basically, it needs to be professional, but add in some of your personality. Tell about some of the things that you enjoy and like that. But the one thing about the summary also is it's very important to note that it's full of keywords. So if you want to come up and search on LinkedIn, it is important to put things in there that would be searchable. For example, social media marketing is mentioned a couple of times in my summary, so that when people search for social media marketing, hopefully my profile will come up on page 1 or page 2. So that's another little thing about the summary that needs to be in there. But yeah, I mean, don't be so over the top professional that your summary is so boring and it sounds like a resume. A little mixture of some personality is key.
I'm going to give you a dong there, because I think it is very important that what you just said about keywords, because I think most often we forget. And I know LinkedIn is has a pretty good SEO. So if you, like you said, if you put social media marketing as one of the content in your summary, if somebody Google searches social media marketing, you might end up on that page. So I think that's a great point with the keywords. One more time, keywords, folks. You gotta write that in. We love that.
The world is keywords.
I know. Always forget about the keywords, because sometimes we're always thinking like, I want to write this, I want to write that, and we forget from the search perspective, what are people looking for? And that's a great point to add on. Sondra, we're talking about LinkedIn. Do you use LinkedIn, and how do you use it to help you grow your business?
Yeah, I use it in 2 ways, really. One is I look for my specific clients. So my services are offered as a benefit to small businesses between 11 and 50 employees. So trying to figure out where those companies are in Seattle, LinkedIn is a really great starting point, because I can look up how many employees they have. I get their basic information about where they are. I can also then look and see who's online on LinkedIn that I can reach out to. So if they have a head of HR or a CFO, someone that I would want to talk to directly about bringing my services to their company, it's really helpful for that. On the other end of the spectrum, because of what I do, I'm connecting my clients with other really wonderful service providers. So if someone needs some kind of specialized care, I can kind of maintain my network, my database of professionals within LinkedIn. So yes, I save business cards when I go out and meet people, but sometimes I need to find people online. And again, LinkedIn is a really great starting point, because maybe they have recommendations on there. Maybe there are, it's also really important for me to check references. That's a really great starting point for that as well. So I do it on both ends. I'm looking for clients in a way, for service providers, and then future, stakeholders, future business partners, potentially.
Right, and I think what you said about, you're looking for information, you're researching, you're using as a research tool. For me, I do the same thing too, because I'm such an avid networker. Sometimes when I go out, you know how certain platforms like Meetup.com, before you attend the event, you get to see who's attending, and then LinkedIn has this beauty right now where you could just search who these people are before even attending those events. And I think it helps, especially with me, it helps me to hone down on who I really want to meet at that event. I mean, have either of you used it in that specific, way?
I haven't, but that's really smart.
Yeah. Because sometimes, going to especially big networking events, you have 200 people, you want to spend a great time in trying to figure out who is it that you really want to meet. And I love Meetup.com. So folks, if you've never been on Meetup.com, it's just, another space or tool for you to attend events. There's all types of events. And I like it because if you're a business person or if you're a professional person and you belong to a very specific Meetup group, you can actually go to LinkedIn and see if they have a professional profile, and if they do, it is so awesome. Like, for instance, I don't know who Bill is and what he does, but of course there'll be some extroverts and party people at the parties, and their personalities just shine. What can you say? But the fact that sometimes you'll find certain very specific people that you want to meet, but you don't know who they are, and LinkedIn provides me that information. Actually, a lot of HR for different companies are using it to actually research the people who are coming through that door, applying for their jobs, and that's pretty powerful. Bill, if we were to talk about tips, I mean, I just want to jump into the tips because there's a lot of things to learn from you, because this is what you do on a day-to-day basis with social media. It's your thing, especially social media marketing, and LinkedIn is one of the tools that we can market ourselves. Right. But what are your tips in enhancing a company page on LinkedIn to get more followers or create more interest in what the business has to offer? Any specific strategies or what to use, what to avoid? Because there's a lot of things that people post on company pages that sometimes are irrelevant to their goals. Any suggestions to improve on that?
Yeah, I mean, business pages still have a little bit of a way to go. They're much better than they were even a year ago. There's a little bit more engagement now. But as far as using the company page, companies shouldn't expect that they're going to get a ton of leads from the company page, because a LinkedIn is a very person-to-person type of social network versus like the other ones where you can have a business presence and the business can speak on its own behalf and live. On LinkedIn, the business page really becomes an asset where all the employers are connected into this specific business page, because while everybody's an individual on LinkedIn and they're all over the place, having the link to a professionally built and optimized LinkedIn company page that's branded is imperative. Now, the engagement's going up, and as far as tips, the employees need to mention the page while they're in groups maybe, or all the profiles of the employees need to be optimized, in that current section at the top there. That actually is the link to your company page. So if you have 20, 30, 40 employees, or even a few, make sure everybody's profiles are optimized so that that first current job status has a link directly to the company page. Now, beyond that, having a link from your website to the company page, for example, is a good practice. Every once in a while, mentioning your LinkedIn company page on your own other social networks. Like every once in a while, tweet out that you have a company page with the link to the company page. Mention it on Facebook, because you never know who wants to connect there. And of course, in the end, content trumps all. You hit it on the head with, sometimes people think that the LinkedIn company page should be like Facebook, and they'll put up like, little tchotchke kind of things that aren't really hitting the target audience. But, you can have fun on Facebook. You can have fun on LinkedIn too, don't get me wrong, but it needs to be more professional. And like you said, you really have to put up content that resonates with a specific targeted audience. So if your audience is coming to that page, if the content doesn't match up to what their expectations are, they're probably not going to follow or hang out or do anything else there. So content, in the end is king.
Do you think, just like what you mentioned earlier, because, the content on the company page, LinkedIn versus Facebook, right, company pages are two different things, really. Even the language is different. Right. So, for instance, in Facebook, I think it's okay to Well, everybody will differ from their own perspective, but it's more of a warm market, more of the people that you know. So the people follow you on your business page. So if you do promotions, you post it in there, that's okay. But what about company pages? There's always a thin line putting promotions there. What do you think? Promotions, announcements, or very specific things like events. What's your take on that, Bill? Because this is like one of the biggest challenges, and I see a lot of companies do it. They think it's just similar like Facebook, because as we all know, every social networking platform has a different style to it. What's your take on that?
Yeah, I mean, on Facebook you can get away with putting an event up there, and then the next post could be something like, we got a new computer in our office, and things like that, where people, they can kind of connect with the culture or the personality of the company. I usually say, like, Facebook is where you allow the fun and frivolity of your company to come through, the culture of your company, and mix it up a lot, where on LinkedIn it needs to be more of the professional face of the company, and we're attending this trade show. Come see us at booth number X, whatever it is. Those type of things to use on LinkedIn. But I don't want anybody to make their LinkedIn pages become monotonous and boring that way, because if all you're going to do is list your events and your new product and everything else like that, it's going to get lame. So you do want to mix in a little bit of the culture, but in a little bit different way than Facebook. And exactly like you said, it's a different language. So even if you're promoting the same thing, on Facebook you can say, hey, we're going to be there, we're going to have a good time at the show, come visit us, we're going to be serving coffee, whatever it is like that, or cafe, whatever. And on LinkedIn it would be more of what are the benefits of attending or coming to your trade show booth. It would be more along those lines. So even more doing the same thing. The value, exactly. So that would be like the differentiation between the two. It could be the same basic piece of content, but how you describe it just needs to be slightly different.
That's so true, because one of the things that even, as small to medium-sized companies, when they, maybe create content and post for all their LinkedIn, Google+, Facebook pages, actually the language has to change a little bit in LinkedIn. Even the content is the same, you have to somewhat deliver it in a different language, because otherwise people just don't, because you'll have professionals and entrepreneurs. It's two different types of people. If your market is just entrepreneurs or small businesses, you might get away with it, but not professionals. They're more a little bit honed down, so they have a little bit of a higher expectation, so it's more of a professional, therefore the language has to be professional too. So that's a great thought. Sondra, I know you work with your clients, and I'm sure you'll have clients who are entrepreneurs. Maybe you've had experience with them asking you to update their LinkedIn profile or something like that. But maybe, do you have, from your personal experience, do you have any additional tips that you can think of on how we all should be actually leveraging LinkedIn profiles to grow our businesses?
Well, listening to what you guys said, I do agree. I mean, there's definitely some content that is relevant for Facebook and some that's relevant for LinkedIn, and changing that language is important. But I also feel that because perhaps people aren't so comfortable with the content on LinkedIn, that a lot of people don't post so much. So I really do encourage people to post things periodically, because you probably have a pretty good likelihood of someone seeing what you're posting, because people spend hours and hours on Facebook, and there's so much information. You can check back every 15 minutes and have a whole new feed. On LinkedIn, that feed's a lot shorter. So if you have something worthwhile, I say put it out there, because you'll have a really good chance of someone seeing it, I feel.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely.
so true. And I think from what I've learned from many of those LinkedIn experts, and even experts like you, Bill, is that you want to put information that is relevant to what you want to offer, or you want to the products or services that you want to offer your clients or customers, and be specific as to asking what it is that you want to do, because there's some things like, if you're a presentation expert and you don't have any kind of presentation, like maybe a slideshare video, and there people will go like, wait, you call yourself a presentation expert? And I'm like, hello, don't, right? Because it's not really, hello, you have to be. In this day and age, you have to present what you want to show. And I think if you're a video person, if you don't put specific, because I think in LinkedIn, there's a specific area that you can actually put content like that, visual content. So if you're a video person, show videos of what videos that you created or produced. And I think that's a great content to share so that it's visual. People understand. Oh, here's my proof that I created or produced this video.
And I think the one thing you have to be careful of is to do it in a non-salesy way.
Yes,
You know,
exactly.
promote yourself, tell people about what you do, but don't do it like, buy, click here to buy now kind of thing, because that just doesn't work on any social network.
So true. And so in a way, what I'm saying is that if you have a presentation, for instance, how to improve your LinkedIn profile, great, put it out there, because if you're a LinkedIn expert and you talk about how to improve your LinkedIn profile, you happen to have created a presentation on LinkedIn, maybe on SlideShare or Prezi, go ahead and put it up there. And I wouldn't suggest putting promotions, because that will just, nobody likes to be sold to, and that's my point, and they all want value. So that's a great point a great way to do it. I need a little bit of inspiration about groups, because I think groups can be intimidating sometimes, Bill. There a specific LinkedIn group that you would recommend to our audience, maybe because they have good content or just great experts in there, or just a great community? Is there any like that you belong to and you would like to share with our audience?
Yeah, every business or organization or individual has to kind of decide what kind of groups to join that's going to benefit them, either by finding clients or prospects or for continuing education. And one of my favorite groups that I'm part of, the Social Media Examiner group. I forget what the actual name of the group is. My apologies. But
I think it's Social Media Marketing Networking Club or something like that.
Something like that. Yeah. It's, I forget the name. I know where it is. I just don't. Yeah. It's like I can tell you how to get to my house, but not the exit number. It's like, get off the bridge. There's a bridge, and then it's the next exit after that. So I don't remember the name offhand, but I go there all the time. But it's a really great group, and I actually use that one for continuing education because of the industry I'm in. Obviously, things move so fast and so quickly that there's no way I can keep up with every publication all the time. So I love this group because I go there and other people find valuable information about some of the changes or new algorithms or a new feature and stuff like that. So I really like that. And the other thing I like about it is they don't allow links on it, which is pretty interesting. So you can't actually grab a news article, post it up there with a link and say, what do you think about this? I kind of like the fact they don't like links, because you have to kind of almost determine what you're going to say to open up a conversation where, people get lazy and they just use a link as an opening to a conversation. So this is kind of like a good way to do it, is saying, hey, I read this and this is what they said and here's my opinion on it. What do you think, kind of thing. So it actually opens up conversations. So I really enjoy that. But for each individual person, they really need to seek out, in that kind of parameter, is seek out groups that are client prospect oriented, where you can actually get clients, or find ones that you are within your industry so you can learn more about your industry. And knowledge is power. The more you know about your industry and target audience, things like that, the more successful you can become.
Let me ask you this also, because everybody in LinkedIn, sometimes at one point or another, will be thinking, oh, maybe I can start my own LinkedIn group, But what are some of your recommendations and guidelines when somebody's thinking about, hey, I want to start a LinkedIn group, and what kind of goals? Are there any no-nos, or are there any specific thing they should be thinking ahead before even starting a group? Because I think if everybody thinks of creating a group and the group is just inactive, it's just going to be like, what in the world? So any recommendations for that?
The viability of a group is important to understand, because if you're going to go through all the trouble to create a group and everything else like that, and there's 20 other groups that are the exact same thing, it's not worth it if you're only going to get 20 members in your group and it doesn't go anywhere. So you have to almost, first of all, determine, is it worth making this group? Are people going to join it? But as far as no-nos, you really want to moderate it to make sure nobody's selling on there. You really want to moderate it as far as making sure that people are going to contribute some kind of content, that it's valuable content. It's not just them linking to their own blog somewhere because they want to promote their blog, kind of thing. And as a moderator, you have to actually, in the beginning, you have to do a lot of seeding. where you need to start conversations and you need to make sure you're inviting people, and everybody's got their whole Rolodex connections on LinkedIn to invite people to it. And you know, when you create a group, it's its own whole marketing thing. It's a little more complex than just creating it and then hoping people join. You actually have to promote it a little bit. You have to get people to join. You have to get people behind it, and then from there make sure that the content is valuable enough to keep people there and for them to want to invite people to learn or discover.
That's such a great point, because I think we all can gain a lot from groups. It's just about, because if someone's thinking about creating a group especially, you have to think about, if you want to keep those people in your group, you have to learn to moderate, you have to learn how to manage, you have to learn how to encourage people to engage and collaborate. That's the most important thing, and I think many groups are missing that. Sondra, do you have any groups, like LinkedIn groups that you belong to, and are you active in them, and how have you been benefiting from them? Any favorite groups?
So I really wanted to join groups, and I joined a few when I first got on LinkedIn, and then I couldn't find them again.
That's a good one.
The way that LinkedIn, this is like part of the reason why I haven't totally dived into LinkedIn, is that it's really not that intuitive. I eventually figured out that groups are tucked under interests. So if you hover over interests, you then have so that's like its own little project. But I have.
You're not the only one. I can guarantee you that. Many of the audience out there are probably doing the same thing. Like, where are these groups?
Well, I was amazed by it because it is such an integral part of LinkedIn. Ultimately, that to have it so difficult to find was frustrating. But once I found it, I have a women's networking group. We meet once a month, and it's kind of like an entrepreneurial support group, and we only meet for a couple hours once a month, and we were finding that wasn't enough time to really dive into the challenges that these women were faced with. So, and we wanted another way to stay in touch, and not everyone is on Facebook, and it wasn't really appropriate for Facebook because we're entrepreneurial. The entire purpose of getting together is to talk about business, share business ideas. So we ended up starting our own group on LinkedIn, and that is my favorite group, and it's the only one that I actually visit pretty regularly, only because it's built around people who actually know each other, and it's an opportunity.
More market, Yep,
it's an opportunity to bring in people that maybe we haven't met at a previous meeting, and it's a way to just carry on the conversation and provide resources. I've kind of dabbled in looking in the bigger kind of national size ones, and I haven't found their value to be as strong as having this smaller, tight-knit group of people that actually know each other and are there for each other, not to just grab business, you know? So that's been my favorite group, and it's my first experience kind of monitoring it, and it's been really easy. We're not actively trying to seek large numbers. If it grows, that's great. And so it's kind of nice to just let it do its own thing, and you know, people can be invited. We review who's there, and so it is a little more selective than a Facebook group, I feel, and I just felt like the right opportunity to carry on that conversation. So I was grateful to see that LinkedIn had that. I
like that point there, and I think, Bill, if correct me if I'm wrong, but you actually not only work with small businesses, entrepreneurs, but you work with companies that are a little bit more corporate. And I think for LinkedIn, I don't know, through my own personal experience, LinkedIn groups are more active if you have a little bit of a local component to there, because I belong to a local networking group. One of our co-hosts on Creative Chat Cafe, Scott Anders, actually has an online LinkedIn group, and what's great about it, because he has a lot of he's got quite a few local businesses, professionals, entrepreneurs in the group, and then he has two networking locations right here in Connecticut. So local people who belong to the LinkedIn group, then that's a spillover to the live events. That makes it much more effective. And I think that's a great way to connect and you know, just make it a more sustainable LinkedIn group. And you're absolutely right. about managing, coordinating, because it takes, I promise you, it takes a lot more than one person's effort to make the group work. Agree, Bill?
Absolutely, yeah, and I know Scott, and he does a great job with his group because he's always moderating, he's always adding his own content once in a while. He lets everybody else fly, but if he starts seeing, a good moderator will see that nobody's posted in a couple of days, so he'll make sure that he goes to his group and starts the conversation if no one else is. So a good moderator will not keep adding content just to add content. They will allow everybody else to add, and then just if they need to, they'll supplement that. And I think that's a good sign for that as well. And you made a good point. If you're a local business, you don't really, like Sondra made an excellent point there. If you're really more of a local entity, and you're a store on Main Street, say, or whatever, or you're a local entrepreneur who really just wants to work with a local area because that's your business model, then really there's not a lot of point in joining these national ones. You really want to go kind of with a magnifying glass and look for those local groups.
People don't pay attention to that, which is so true, because hello, local versus national. Where is your audience? Yeah.
The difference is for education, because remember I mentioned earlier, there's you're trying to grab clients and prospects versus continuing education. I think the continuing education ones, you want to look for these large groups because you'll get a lot more of a national flair of your industry, and a lot more because things are different in New York than they are in Florida to Chicago. So joining a national group to really get a pulse on your industry or what's going on is a huge benefit. But when you're really mining for clients, if you want to start locally, that's a great place. And even for a national company, I always say, even when we work with clients, start locally, really get your footprint in or get your foothold in a local area first, where you are, where you can actually meet people face to face, and then start working your way outwards.
We're at the end of our show, folks, and we always hate to go because 30 minutes isn't much, but what I really like to do is invite everybody to watch our show, post-show conversations online, and get involved in the conversations. And I will show you the information where you will be watching the show, connect with our community, and also connect with two of our hosts here, co-hosts and guests here, so that they can actually help you out a little bit more should you want more information about leveraging LinkedIn to grow your business. Entrepreneurs@soar.com, and there's a drop-down tab that under Watch Hangouts. You can watch Katie Chat Cafe, catch up on that page, all of previous episodes. And then you can also watch our previous shows on our YouTube channel, Entrepreneurs@soar, and there's a playlist here that says Katie Chat Cafe 2014, and all our shows are there. And I would also like to personally invite everybody to join in our Google Plus community. It says right here, Katie Chat Cafe, Google Plus community, and there's a tab on the left here, and you can come in and introduce yourself. We would love to hear what you have to say. We would love to hear what you do, and get active in the community and get to know one another. So before we go, I just want to have my co-host right here, Bill DeRosa, and also my guest, Sondra Firestein, to share the information so that you can connect with them, post a show, and if you have any questions, you can always reach out to them. Bill, go ahead.
I mean, go to Google, Yahoo, or Bing and type in talking finger, 2 different words, and I usually come up pretty up there because we're a unique name. But that way you can follow us on whatever social network you want to follow us on and stay engaged. I mean, we live mostly on Facebook only because that's where we've been forever. But really, we're on every social network. So if you're on Instagram or Pinterest or anything else, really just search Talking Finger. Otherwise, you can email me, bill@talkingfinger.com, which is really simple. But you'll find me. I'm out there.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Sondra, why don't you go ahead and share your information?
Yeah, so you can find me at, I'm on Instagram as @SeattleSondra. You can also find me at, on Facebook, I'm there, and then through my website, pursuitofseattle.com. Really accessible. Just send me an email, hit me up on Twitter, Instagram at @SeattleSondra. I'm available, super easy to reach. There aren't many Sondra Firesteins on the planet. I might be one. But yeah, super easy to get in touch with as well.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. This has been a great conversation because I know every time we talk about LinkedIn, there's going to be a lot of questions, a lot of, great conversations because there's a lot of things to talk about LinkedIn. But I must tell you that if you're a professional, you're a business person, it's almost essential that you need to have a LinkedIn profile in this day and age, in this most modern marketing world. It is a great tool. I'm not saying that you invest in 100% in it, but use it as a tool to market your business, to grow your business, and connect with the audience better and build those relationships. It is a very powerful tool. So I just want to quickly share our hashtag again before we go. You can watch right here on entrepreneurs.store.com, and our hashtag for the show is hashtag Creative Chat Cafe. We're on Wednesdays, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Check your local time for what that time may be. Until then, I just want to take this opportunity to thank Bill and Sondra for coming on the show. Thanks, you both. Before we go, today's your milestone. Have a great day and productive week, everybody. Until the next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.